John Wall, according to our Tim McMahon, left $6.5 million on the table. Long coming buyout negotiation. If he left, if they settled at 6.5, and maybe we'll find this out at some point. I wondered what the offer from Houston was during last year. So he'll get about 41 million out of his $47.5 million salary. And Woj is reporting he's going to sign with the Clippers. It's apparently already decided. It's actually can easily be decided. Nobody can claim him on waivers. So maybe like San Antonio could or something, but that's not going to happen. So looks like John Wall's going to be a Clipper. That's been in the NBA bloodstream for a few days that was coming. But obviously, so the Clippers get a point guard. I'm not so sure the Clippers are done looking for point guards. They may be in the market for other things, but that's a move there. Spears, what's your thought about that?
Lakers made a mistake. Unless they get Kyrie, they made a mistake. They could have got John Wall last season. They had an ability these picks that they're holding on to, I'm obviously not a fan of. And I think they potentially could have salvaged their season if they would have moved Russell for John Wall, and they could have done it if they included picks.
So I think Ramona, and I mean, I'm doing this without researching, so I got to check, but I think Ramona Shelburne reported that in the end, the Rockets were willing to do Wall for Westbrook for a pick swap, or maybe a second and a pick swap.
Well, they should have did it.
Well, you remember LeBron.
Did it.
You remember the way LeBron reacted and sort of freaked out for a few days in the days after the no trade at the deadline. Just to recall,
they should have did it. He's a catch and shoot guy. He would have fit in well with them, and now he's going to be across the hall, balling for the Clippers. So if they don't do nothing in that regard, that's going to make probably, not speaking for LeBron, but that might bring more ire to him that they could have had him. I didn't understand why the Lakers sat on their hands, but for the Clippers, I mean, he's a big pickup. I know Ty Lue's probably happy. What is John Wall right now? He's the healthiest he's probably been in a long time. I'm sure that he'll be on a vengeance tour, and what will he be? If he's healthy, he's a problem. And so I see that as a huge pickup for the Clippers, which maybe they need to change their nickname to If Healthy, right? Because
right.
If you got a healthy John Wall, Kawhi, PG, with everybody else they have, Warriors be ready.
Well, the Rockets, even with paying this dead money, are tens of millions of dollars below the luxury tax. And it's not that, I mean, obviously I don't think there's a free agent they are totally, they're exactly going after. And, Eric Gordon has been on and off the trade market for months. He's their highest paid player.
Are you telling me that Tillman Fertitta doesn't want to spend boatloads of cash, Brian?
Well, I wouldn't spend boatloads of cash on that roster anyway, but I think it's, even though they're going to have a $41 million dead cap hit, which might be a record. I don't want to speak to say it's a record, but that's got to be close to record. If it's not the record, it's got to be the most they've ever had. Most of the teams ever had in a year is $40 million of dead cap. It's not like it's holding the Rockets back. So I also think they had like 18 or 19 guaranteed contracts. They were going to have to waive players. I guess they could trade them. So we're not there yet. But when they traded for all those Dallas guys, they had like way more guaranteed contracts than they had than they could fit on their roster. So I suppose some of those guys could get traded, but as soon as that happened, it became clear that there was probably going to be a Wall buyout. Nick, we haven't seen Wall in 2 years. I mean, you're just guessing, but obviously the price is going to be right. I assume that that it's going to be for the minimum, or maybe slightly more. Maybe they give him a piece of a mid-level to help him get his money back, but it's going to be a good deal for him.
It's worth the flyer, if nothing else. And this goes to Mark's point. We know what Wall can be when he's healthy. He just hadn't been healthy in so long. He's one of those guys where you almost have to get people to remember what he once was. He was always one of the fastest guys up and down the floor with the ball. How much has that changed? Can he shoot to a point where he's serviceable enough around Kawhi, Paul George, and set up the offense in that way, assuming that he comes off the bench in limited minutes early on? Who knows? But when you have that type of talent and you've been away that long, I don't have any issue with flipping the coin and seeing what happens.
I actually expect him to start.
Really? After all that time off?
Tell that to Reggie Jackson.
Yeah. I remember he wouldn't come off the, well, I mean, it was Houston. He wouldn't come. He's never come off the bench.
Let me check if he's literally ever come off the bench. I mean, you're right. He's never not been a starter, and maybe that was part of the situation. I will say that let's see here. He came off the bench, Spears. He came off the bench 7 times in 2012 and 5 times his rookie year in 2010-11.
Out of how many games?
He's played 613 games, 601 starts.
I think he's going to start.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I'm sure the Clippers have seen him at some level. I'm sure they have some idea of what they're signing, and but it'll be interesting to me to see if I suspect the Clippers could be active. They could maybe look to do a deal like maybe with Luke Kennard or something like that. But after all these many months of John Wall, people declaring free him, he has been freed, and it cost him $6.5 million, maybe less, depending on what he signs for with Clippers. So.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.